Hey, Mel Abraham here. Welcome. So let's just make sure that we are live. I just want to make sure that that we're rolling. Let me know in the chat if you are here. This video is live now. I guess that's a good thing. Yep, here we go. Let's take that off. All right. Um, so hey, this is really cool. Last week, and I did a live talking about the 5 tax moves that we got to do before the end of the year. Today, I actually want to talk about the idea of your business money moves. What are the things that businesses should be considering, should be doing, thinking about as we move into 20? I want to just bring the comments up into 2021, how we finish off 2020, and all the things that we're working on. So here's the thing, that there are a lot of things that businesses can do today to get ready for tomorrow. I'm not going to get a chance to go through all of it. I've been blessed in the sense that I sit on a number of boards of directors. I consult with businesses on a regular basis. So we've been navigating the pandemic, the effects of the pandemic. We've been kind of rejiggering everything. I guess that's a technical term. We've been pivoting in certain businesses. We've been doing a lot of things. There's a couple of things that I think that all businesses should be considering and should be looking at that will start to shift the way you do business. Now, most of this, I think, needs to be in place permanently. This should be a permanent habit. This isn't like a Band-Aid for what might be happening right now. This is actually a way to do business. It's the way I look at business, the way I have done business over the years. So, and in the meantime, if there are questions, if you're having challenges, do me a favor, post it, ask them, and let's make this a dialogue. I have my content that I want to go through, but I'm here to serve. That's what the purpose of this is. I got nothing to sell to you. I mean, I do, just not today. I have nothing to sell to you other than a different future, a better future, a larger future, a bigger future, a better future, however you want to define it, a different future. And the belief that it truly is possible, the belief and the reality that is just there for you to grasp. I get it that we have gone through some challenging times. We've had some downs, we've had some ups. I just saw that the jobless rate this morning was released, and it went up even more. And so I know that we've got some people that are struggling and suffering, but if we are anticipating that we're going to go back to how things were in the past, then it's a mistake. I truly believe that this was a wake-up call, but it was a wake-up call with an opportunity. It's a wake-up call that we can't continue to do business the way we've done business over the years. And then with that, it brought an opportunity to look at things and say, what can we do differently? How can we show up differently? How can we run a business differently? How can we look at our business differently? And some of the things I'm going to invite you to do are just that. We're going to start looking at your business differently. So I see I've got some friends on. Risley's here, man. It's good to see you all. My friends Suzanne and Heather, thanks for being on and all that. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to jump to my iPad because, as you know, it's not a training with Mel if he doesn't start writing or drawing or doing something. So we're going to jump to the iPad and let's just walk through some of the five money moves that I think you need to think about as a business moving forward. Going forward. So the first thing is this, and this one's a big one. And it's this idea of, it's this idea of finding adjacent income streams to scale. Here's what happens is that you're in a situation where we get caught up and say, this is the only way we make money. Now, I come from the CPA world, if you will. And let me tell you, there are very few professions that are as tunnel visioned as accountants, okay? And they only see how they can make money, and it's swapping hours for dollars. And that model is antiquated. It should have been, the timesheet I think was invented, I heard a statistic, it was invented in 1919. And if that's truly the case, it should have been destroyed in 1920. It should have been burned at the stake. It's the worst model, swapping hours for dollars. But when they look at things and the only way they see to make money is that one channel, I gotta trade an hour for a dollar, and whether it's a tax return, whether it's bookkeeping, whether it's accounting, they've put the blinders on to what is in front of them as to possibilities. So what I'm going to ask you to do is start to look at adjacencies. What are things that are associated with your business but not directly tied to your business that could expand your ability to take what you already do and move it forward? And there's a couple of ways to do this. And so I want you to just think about it. Adjacencies come in a lot of different ways. Let me do this. I'm going to move my head so you can see this. So adjacencies come in a couple different ways. The first is this, and this seems obvious, and that is a new geography. Okay, if I misspell, I am sorry, but my iPad doesn't have spell check. But here's the deal. What do I mean by new geography? Now, back in the day, what we had was a situation where most businesses were done in a very confined space, in a small geography. Today, we are not driven by the tyranny of boundaries of location any longer. We have the ability to transcend. The question I got for you is, are you reaching the different geographies? Is there another geography, another location, another way to reach out to access your demographic, your people, the people that you want to serve, the audience? Have you looked at that? Because often we may think that, well, I'm just a local business. Now I'm looking at things. For instance, my wife Stephanie sent her mom just had open heart surgery a little while back. She's doing phenomenal. But her sister was taking care of her mom through the whole thing. And, her sister's got, kids and homeschooling with the pandemic shutdown, all these things going on. And yet we had the ability to go to a popular deli. I think it was out in New York. I'm not sure. And have them ship a meal to them. Now, so what ended up happening is that most of the time you would think a deli is going to be location specific in the sense of their ability to serve is going to be based on how far they can drive to do the catering or people to come into the restaurant to do this. But they found a way to expand their geography. And my question is, in your business, the things that you're doing, have you looked at the way you might be able to expand your geography, especially in this technologically kind of adjusting world, if you will? We have no longer. I mean, face to face. I was having a conversation with an attorney yesterday who I do a lot of work for. That he brings me in, and he's moving from California to Washington because he's going to have his daughter's going to have a grandchild and everything. But his practice and his ability to practice is not going to be impacted. And so this idea of geography is important to look at. That's number one. That's one of the ways to do adjacency. The second way to do adjacency is, are there new channels that you can go to? Okay, that you can go to. Here's an interesting thing. What I mean by new channels is there a new way to approach the customers or a different demographic? We're in the process of looking at some things that we want to do at the house. And I had someone come in to, this is typical. When you do home improvement and when you do remodel, just know that things aren't going to go the way you want. I asked the guy to come in because I want to replace one window because it seems to be leaking. And before he walks out, I've got a bid for replacing all the windows in the house, 20, 24 windows, something like that. I mean, it was a crazy bid. But in the conversation, what we found out is that this company that creates, that makes the windows, custom makes the windows, used to sell only to contractors, only to contractors. So I would have to hire a contractor. That contractor would go to them to manufacture it. They would manufacture it. The contractor would bring it and put it in. And one of the things that they noticed is that there was a lot of finger pointing of what was going on, where the mistake might have been, or where the issues might have been. And so they created a division. So now they can go direct to consumer. And so my question for you is, are there other channels in which you can access your customers, your clients, the people that you want to work with that you're not currently accessing? You know, whether it's creating a joint venture partnership, whether it's creating an affiliate relationship, whether it's doing something that you might have another channel to do that, whether it's creating sponsorships. I have a client that I mentor, one of my high-level mentoring clients, that does a ton of sponsorship work. And so that's the second way to look at adjacency. The third way to look at adjacencies is, and this is where people usually land when they first start, is demographics. New demographics. A new population, a new group in doing this. There's, for instance, if you're dealing with creating something for your primary market is women, and you're creating a product for women or a service for women, is there a way? Because let's say you've got this customer group that is in there. You've got a group of people, the women that you serve, and on the other side of those women is most likely their spouse, their significant other, or access to men. Why not access that same customer base and see, can I adjust? Can I adjust my offerings? Can I create an offering that's not 180 degrees off, but 1 degree off of what I'm doing, so it doesn't take a lot of resources to do it, and access that customer base by accessing a demographic that is easily reachable because of the demographic you're already talking to. Okay, and then the last way to create adjacencies in your business is to create get into new categories. Okay, and what I mean by this is things like, if you've got, I'm seeing people that they do mostly services, they do mostly things that are courses, but all of a sudden they're creating swag. Now there's merchandising. Do you know that one time when I had my CPA firm, I was a business manager for a concert promoter. This concert promoter was the one that was running Beach Boys, Moody Blues. I mean, some of the old time, Jimi Hendrix. He's the one that brought Elvis out of retirement and everything. And you know that the money they made from the concert versus the money they made off of the merchandising versus the money they made off of the record deals, the merchandising dwarfed it in many cases. And so my question is then are there new categories that you can bring to your current customer base to scale? Remember, the idea here is this. I want to be able to up-level my revenues, up-level my cash flows without having a corresponding increase in my expenses. So we want to look at adjacencies to create other income. Okay, so that's point number one, is creating adjacencies to scale. Let me just look at the comments and questions. On the board of CFO organization, we are thinking that it will not be until September. Yeah, well, I agree, Heather. I think it's going to be a bit before we start seeing live events. This is something that I've been saying for a while. There's 2 permission points we got to get through, and the first is the public permission point, where they say it's okay to do it. Not that we're waiting or we're asking for permission, but when they come out and say, whether you believe in the vaccine or not, when they come out and say, we've got a vaccine and it's good to go and it's time to go, that permission point is permission point number 1. And the second permission point is an internal permission point. When I say to myself, I feel comfortable going out and being in a group of people and doing that. And it's that permission point that I think is most important. And that's going to take a little bit. So I tend to agree with you. One way we have successfully expand our tech consulting firm is to partner with other firms that focus on different technology. Absolutely. Creating joint ventures is a way to create adjacencies and additional scaling of income to create a synergistic relationship between you and another organization that you could serve a demographic, serve a problem, solve a problem that you wouldn't otherwise either one of you be able to do without each other. So, Dale, well, welcome aboard. Let's see what we can do to give you some ideas to make that happen. All right, so point number one is find ways to create adjacent income streams to scale. Point number two for businesses. Now, this is to create a cash resource plan. Okay, especially in these times. Let me just do something here. Since we're talking about cash, let's make it green. All right. The idea here is this: is that especially in times where cash might be tight, especially in times where we're trying to figure some things out. And some people will call this a budget. And as soon as you say the word budget, people freak out, they push back, and they go, I can't live on a budget. I get it. I get it. No one likes to be told that there's boundaries or there's limits. But guess what? What if you turned around and looked at this and said, instead of it being boundaries and limits, it's about me strategically using my cash in a way that I know generates the kind of return on investment, the return on my cash that I want. See, the one thing that I do know from working with businesses, the businesses that grow with a purpose, the businesses that grow with intention have a plan behind that intention. They don't just do it haphazardly. You may find success if you do it haphazardly, but it's coincidental success. It's not sustainable success. It's not scalable success, and that becomes a challenge. It's not repeatable. What we want to do is create a repeatable process, and part of that is to look at your cash inflows, your cash outflows, to start looking at your business and being diligent about this to understand, where's the money coming in from? Is it coming in from one or two customers? Is it coming in from a group of customers? Where's the traffic coming in, to make sure that we understand our traffic sources are good? If it's solely coming from organic traffic, great. If you're relying on algorithms on Facebook and Instagram and other things, well, that's fine. But what happens when the algorithm changes? So what I want this to be is really an understanding of what is coming in and what is going out in your business. And to be okay that you make an intentional decision to say, I don't need that expense anymore. I don't need that software. I don't need that subscription, and remove it from your cash resource plan. So what I mean by this cash resource plan is I want you to look at and say, I want to know where my inflows are coming from, inflow sources, okay, outflow uses. Hopefully they net to a positive. If they net to a negative, we have an issue, and we need to figure it out. But what we're trying to do is increase. People get so caught up in this revenue number. I want to have $1 million business. Forget the $1 million business. It doesn't matter how much you make on the top line if you don't keep it on the bottom line. We need to make sure that we're looking at how do we make sure that we maximize what we get out of our business, and that we keep it. Okay, and that we can keep it so I can either reinvest it in the business or reinvest it in my future and my life. So the whole objective of all of this is to find a way and to build a way so our net continually increases, because it does me no good if I'm good at increasing the inflows, but the uses go up faster, and so my net ultimately goes down. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. So what I really am looking at is, how do I maximize with a cash resource plan? How do I maximize what I effectively keep, so I can then decide how that money is going to be used? One of the challenges that when I talk about money, when I speak about money, and those that I work with in my affluence blueprint, we have this conversation about it, is that your dollars are like little foot soldiers. Your dollars are like little employees that are there to work for you. And the key is to make sure that your dollars work harder for you than you did for them. Okay? Work harder for you than you did for them. And the only way to do that is to make sure that they know exactly what they need to do, that you're going to assign them a task, that you're going to make sure that they know specifically what their job is. And the analogy I use is this, is that you wouldn't hire, I mean, maybe you would, but it's not going to go well, but you wouldn't say you hire 10 new people, okay? 10 new people. You bring them into a room, you say, welcome aboard. I'm not giving any of you job descriptions. I'm not giving you any direction. I'm not giving you any to-do lists. I'm not telling you what my goals are. I'm not telling you what my vision is. I'm not going to tell you anything. Go for it. Go have at it. How successful do you think those employees are going to be at making sure that you accomplish your goals, your business mission, your movement, your mission at all? Yeah, not likely. So why do we do that with our money? Whether it's personal money or it's business money, we need to treat the money, each dollar, as an employee. And the beauty behind that is that your dollars work for you 24/7, 365 days a year. They're not unionized. You don't have to pay benefits. You simply have to use it properly and make sure they understand how to do it. Okay, so we got to make sure that we create a cash resource plan. So we want to be intentional. So that's number 2, is creating a cash resource plan. Number 3, I want you to build, in the cash resource plan, I want you to build a margin of safety. Well, if the pandemic, if the shutdowns and everything that's gone on in 2020 has taught us one thing, it is the validity of the concept of what some people call an emergency fund. I call it a margin of safety. I call it a peace of mind fund. And the key is that we want to make sure that we may have it personally as one thing. What about your business? What about your business? Do you have a margin of safety in your business should things go awry? Should things get shut down? And I know it's harder now because we're starting to start up again and then we got shut down again. But if we don't build into the plan the building of a margin of safety, we will never create the margin of safety. Imagine what it would have been like to know that you had 6 to 12 months worth of operating capital in an account, that you could sit back and relax. Okay, that's what I want for you. We need to all have a margin of safety. In a business, I typically say, depending on the kind of business, somewhere around 6 months. Personally, I want you to have 12 months. Okay, I'm much more conservative, but if you think about where we've been, and I've been saying this before the pandemic, I've been saying it. And we got shut down basically in March. We are now in December. There's 9 months. You think 12 months is too much? It might be too little. It may be conservative, but can you imagine what it would have been like if you had taken the time to build and use the discipline to build a margin of safety where you can comfortably say, we're good. We're good. This came home and landed on me in a big, big way when I got diagnosed with a cancer. Okay, June of 2019, for those of you who don't know, I got diagnosed with bladder cancer. In that moment, I was coming off of everything was great. I was speaking on the biggest stages. I just finished a multi-six-figure launch. Business is going well, relationships well. I'm traveling. I'm masterminding with the top people, and all of a sudden they drop the bomb on me and say, "You have cancer." And so what I had the opportunity, because of this margin of safety, is because of the way I lived and because of the way my wife and I built our financial world, both in the business and outside the business. We had multiple streams of income. We had adjacencies that were earning us money. We had the margin of safety in place. Everything I'm telling you is stuff that I do in my businesses, for other businesses, with other businesses, and in my personal life. Because we did this right, what I was able to do is, once I got diagnosed, I said, my primary focus is my healing. My primary focus is to attack this little bastard, pardon the expression, that's inside of me, and get this tumor out and get it healed and get it and send it on its way. And so in order to do that, what I needed to do is I needed to pull myself out of the businesses. My active role came out of the businesses so I could focus on that. Now imagine if I didn't have the margin of safety. Imagine if I didn't have the cushion or the peace of mind fund to allow me, or the machine, the financial machine that I teach people to build in Affluence Blueprint. You build a financial machine so you can, it supports you. You don't eat the machine. The machine spits off the cash flow without you working. And that's what we did. I want the same thing for you. If our time in 2020 hasn't taught us anything, this is the one lesson that we ought to take away. We all need a margin of safety. I get that it may be challenging. I get that you may be looking at things going, but no, I'm just trying to pay my bills. I get it. But we need to build it in. We now just need to start building that margin of safety muscle to make it happen. Now, some of those bills we're going to have to take care of. Some of them we might need to renegotiate. Some of them are things we probably shouldn't be paying for, not to go bad on them, but to stop incurring them if we would go. So number 3, margin of safety. Build a margin of safety. Like I said here, I'm going to say 6 months. Okay, minimum 3 months, 3 to 6 months for the business. I'm going to tell you 12 months for your personal. Now I'm focused mostly on business right now, but this is really important. Now let's go to number 4. Number 4 is something that I want to, is called zero-based thinking. You're going to go into the holidays. You're going to go into the holidays and you're going to have a little time on your hands. You're going to go into the holidays and potentially have a break. I don't know. Hopefully. What I want you to do is relook at your business. Relook at your business in a way that you say, okay, if I were to recreate my business today, from the ground up, without the past, without the history, without the expectations of the industry or what the industry says you need to do, any of that, without any of those limits, zero-based thinking, how would you do your business differently? Okay? I want you to recreate your business from the ground up and say, are there things in my business that I wouldn't do? Are there things in my business that don't make sense? Are there things in my business that are not making money? Are there things in my business that I need to start doing? Are there things in my business that would make it more efficient, more profitable, more effective? But we need to get rid of the burdens of our past boundaries, the burdens of our past thinking, the burdens of what the industry tells us is the proper way to do it. I'll give you for instance. So often, and he's a friend, Jeff Walker teaches product launch format, and there's a sequence of what he calls the sideways sales letter. But people dogmatically say, this is the only way to do it. Well, I think that if you look at people, the way I launch, the way my friend Tiffany Lee Bymaster launches, the way James Wedmore launches, the way Brandon Lucero launches, even Amy Porterfield, a lot of have taken the strategies, the principles of that, and said, what are the principles? Let me employ the principles, but let me do it in a different way. There isn't just one way to do it, yet we get caught up in it. And so if you were to clear the slates, if you were going to clear the table and redesign your business from the ground up, what would it look like? And here's a couple of things that I want you to think about when you do this. In the zero-based thinking is how to do it different, because different is revolutionary. Okay? I don't want you, I'm going to put this in red, I don't want you to think about how do I do it better. Because better is evolutionary. See, better is incremental. I want dramatic. I want you to look at things from a whole new view. So what I'm hoping to do is that we avoid better and we focus. We focus on different. That's number one. Number two in your zero-based thinking. How can you deepen your relationships with your clients, your market, and if you have it, your team? See, we've been in a situation where we've been isolated, that we've been siloed, and people are starving for connection, starving. Heather, I see your question. I'll grab it in a sec. They're starving for connection. And if our market is starving for connection and we have a way to connect deeper with them, to create an experience for them, to create a journey that they will come along with, that changes everything. You know, we can provide a product. We can provide a product easy. We can deliver a course, no problem. But in the process of delivering the course, are you deepening the relationship? It goes back to, for a time, about 11 years or so, I had a martial arts studio. And my martial arts studio, I've been in the martial arts since my early teens, which puts me about 40 plus years, lived in Japan, trained in Japan. And I remember with my instructors, we would sit down and have this conversation. And I did this when I had my CPA firm too, because we often confuse our commodity with our product. They're not the same. See, with the martial arts studio, one of the things that I did with them is I said, our commodity is self-defense. It's the martial arts. It's the work we do. That's the commodity, though, because you can look at this dojo, training school, training hall, and you can look at a dojo down the street, and in the eyes of the customer, they see them both as the same, because we're trying to market and sell from the commodity level versus what our product truly is. I said, our product in the school is actually caring. And if I step on that mat with the intent to teach some techniques for self-defense, but behind the teaching of those techniques for self-defense, I want to teach them and make sure that the students and the parents and families feel cared about in the process. How does that change the way we approach our teaching? It's huge. It's a minor shift, but makes a major, major difference. See, the question really is, how can you deepen the relationship? How can we turn around and not get, because let's face it, no one wants to buy a course. No one wants to go through a process. No one wants to do any of that. What they want is what's on the other side of that. What they want is someone that cares about them. What they want is someone that connects with them, someone that hears them, someone that listens, someone that moves them. How are you doing that in the delivery of your product, program, service? Because those that figure out how to deliver, market, sell, and deliver in a way that deepens the relationship with their prospects, their clients, and their customers will have much more longevity in their customer base. They'll be differentiated and distinct in the marketplace. And that's when you can start to scale your income, because the value perceived, the value received is going to go up in the customer's eyes. Okay. And so hopefully this is making sense. Hopefully this is making sense to you, is that we need to be able to figure out how to reconnect with our customers and do things in a bigger way. And so that's zero-based thinking. Those are the couple things that I'd love for you to think about in zero-based thinking. That leads me to point number 5. And I'm going to put this in red too, because it's the big bad. It's a 4-letter word. Okay? I want you. There's that word, debt. Okay? All debt that you incur in your business should be tied to return on investment. Okay? In other words, if I'm going to go into debt, if I'm going to put things on credit card, if I'm going to borrow money, if I'm going to do a PPP loan or EDIL loan or any of that stuff, the question is, how does that make me money? The question is, how does that scale my income? How does that increase my profits? And if the answer is, I don't know, then you figure it out or you don't borrow it. It isn't about going into debt. We don't go into debt for consumables. We don't go in debt for lifestyle. We don't go into debt for that, because what you're doing is taking from your future and spending it today, so everyone around you can look at you and say, wow, what a success they look like. And I use those terms correctly and specifically, they look like. But there are plenty of people around us. And I live in Laguna Beach, and I can see a whole lot of people that they look really good from the outside. But I know for a fact that they're drowning in debt. And the only reason they're doing it is because they want to look good from the outside. Forget what you look like from the outside. We're not going to make our financial decisions or our business decisions to make sure that we look good from the outside, because if it's tormenting us on the inside, sooner or later, it's going to fester and grow into something that's going to destroy you. So what I mean by this is this. If you're looking to incur a debt on a credit card, a loan, or something like that, I want you to be able to specifically tie it to an activity that's going to generate income, that's going to not only pay off the debt, but pay for the debt and give you a return on investment. Hopefully that makes sense, okay? I'm not one of those people that says all debt is the demon and get rid of debt. I think that there's 2 levels of debt, or a few levels of debt, but there is destructive debt, which is consumer debt. This is borrowing from your future to live a lifestyle today. We don't do that, okay? We don't do that. There's productive debt, and that's what I'm talking about here. If we're going to go into debt, we're going to do it for productive debt only. That means that it's going to do one of a couple of things. It's going to increase my cash flows, my profits in my business, or it's going to increase my net worth, okay? It's the only time that we're going to do it. So we're going to really look at our debt. Now, if you are in debt right now, I want you to renegotiate if you haven't done so already. Get on the phone, have the conversations with them. But here's how to have the conversation. This is a challenge. I do a ton of negotiating and mediating and consulting on negotiations. I'm in the middle of helping negotiate an 8-figure acquisition right now. You know, your language is important. How you say it is important. There's a whole process that goes along with it. But just one suggestion, one thing, is that too often when we come to a negotiation, we come to it as adversaries. I'm sitting across the table from someone, they think I want to get something from them, and I think I want to get something from them. So it's this mutual, who's going to get who. That's not going to work out well, because that's a quick way to dig the heels in and not have a productive conversation. And what you'll find is that the way you end up in those odds is asking why questions versus possibility questions. What I mean by possibility questions is asking more how questions. If I want to accomplish something and I ask the other person, how can we make this happen? It presupposes that it can happen. And now it puts us together to say, how do we co-create a solution for it? So if you're renegotiating your debt, instead of going against people, you turn around and say, look, I get it. I have a responsibility to pay this and I fully intend to pay it. But how can we make this work where I don't get choked out and I can't pay it? And at the same time, make sure that you're taken care of. How can we do something together and make this work? Now, all of a sudden, you're working together and not against each other. There's no longer a tug of war. You're both trying to push the stalled car in a direction that you can co-create from. So this is huge, and doing it. So watch the debt. These are the 5, but I have an extra one for you just because that's me. So let's just look at the 5 again. 1 is adjacent incomes to scale, create cash resource plan, build a margin of safety, zero-based thinking, all debt is tied to ROI, and number 5B, number 6, however you want to look at it, 5B. Make more offers. I mean, this is huge. Imagine for a moment if you just made 2 or 3 more offers to your customers, to your clients in the coming year. What would that do for you? Now, some people are scared to make offers, and I'm not sure why, because I get the Costco mailers regularly in the mail. I get the Nordstrom catalogs. We get the emails that are coming in. And do we get offended by it? No. They're just making an offer and say, hey, I got this thing. How many offers are you making each and every quarter with your customers, your prospects, and your clients? And double it. Double it. But do it in a way that is not pushy, salesy, deceitful, upfront. Just make more offers. If you simply made more offers, you'd make more money. Think about it. So let's look at it that way. So those are the things that I'd love to do. I'd love you to do is, as you start to close out this year, take the time to start looking at your business and say, where can I create adjacencies? Is there new geographies? Is there new demographics? Are there new channels that I can go to? Are there new categories that maybe I can play in to make that happen? Create the cash resource plan. Give an assignment to every single dollar that's coming in. If you do launches, if you're in the online space and you're doing launches, one of the things to do with these launches is to plan the launch out. Know how much is going to be going to ad spend. Know how much is going to be going to team. Know how much is going to be going to creatives. Know how much is going to be going to prizes. Know how much is going to be going to affiliates. And then also, and this is the thing that most people in the online space miss, make sure that you determine in advance, not after the fact, but in advance, how much you intend of that launch to go towards your financial future, to be invested for your future, to go into your peace of mind or your safety margin of safety fund. So up front. See, the mistake that we make is that we think that we'll deal with it when we get there, and we never deal with it. What I want you to do is be intentional before the thing happens. When I make stock investments or when I make any kind of investments, I know the exit before I know the entrance. And this is the same thing you want to do here. I make the rules before I get in the game, because the tendency is if I don't make the rules until I'm in the game, we're going to change the rules to fit what's happening, the circumstances that are happening. No, that's how I got caught in the Ponzi scheme. That's how I got in trouble in the Ponzi scheme. So I learned from it and said, no, we set the rules when we go in. If it breaks one of the rules, we're out. And that's the way I deal with my investments. It's the way I deal with campaigns. It's the way I deal with all of that stuff. So, if I'm putting debt in and it's got an ROI to it, it's got to follow the rules. So I want you to be that dogmatic about it, especially during uncertain times. This is the way you move yourself ahead. Is you deliberate, you're intentional, you're conscious, you're aware, and you do it with discipline. So hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to jump into questions and see what's there, and let's see what we can do. Thank you, Heather. She loved the analogy of the dollars are like employees. Yeah, I have a lot of lazy employees. Heather, let's get them puppies working. All right. Do you recommend people try to shift to a subscription business? I think it depends on the business. I like the subscription model because it reduces the peaks and valleys in your cash flow. But the tendency is, if we're not careful, is that we go into a subscription model and we buy into a job of creating and recreating on a regular basis that we wouldn't have otherwise anticipated. So I'd be really careful about it, but I love the subscription model. Just be really mindful. So every business equation, this is something that I talk about, that every business equation, as part of the equation, now I gave you a bit of an equation of inflows and outflows, but every equation also has another element, another variable to it, and that variable is your lifestyle. So we tend to forget our lifestyle. We tend to not worry about our lifestyle. But the question is, if you create a subscription-based business, does it have a negative effect on your lifestyle to a point that it's not the kind of lifestyle you want? Most of my decisions today are lifestyle-based. They're business-based, they're money-based, they're principle-based. But the overarching factor is, what's the effect on the lifestyle? What's the effect on my lifestyle with my wife, the experiences, the things that we're going to do? And if it's going to rob us of that richness, then it's a no-go. So I'd look at it as a certainly a possibility, but also look at it and say, how is that going to impact my lifestyle? Suzette is here. So good to have you. Thank you. Be at zero debt at the end of 2020, except for a small building loan on a strict budget all the time now, just to create a type of revolutionary change. Dale, this is amazing. This is really good news. To be able to get yourself effectively completely out of debt in the time where everyone else, we've got this uncertainty in 2020, man, that says a lot for you. I love this. So, congratulations on this. The fact that you have a small building loan, I'm not that concerned about it. You'll get that paid off. I'm assuming it's a small building. I don't know if you're the tenant or you have a tenant in there. Sometimes being a landlord these days with some of the issues and the not having to pay rent and all that can be challenging. So, but stay on it. If now you've got a small building loan that's creating ROI for you, that's bringing in rents and doing that, it's productive debt. And over time, you'll get that paid off and you'll be completely cash flowing on the building too. And now, like you said, let's create some revolutionary change that scales your income dramatically to continue to build. Remember, the idea here is that the business funds the financial machine outside the business, so you don't have to be dependent on the business 100% of the time. So awesome. Thank you, Risley, man. Good to have you on board. So anything else? Any other questions? I hope this helps. I hope this serves. This is, I have more to come. We're going to be doing more and more of this. I want to have more conversation around your business, your wealth, your money decisions, that type of thing. So if something comes up, do me a favor, post it. Let me know. Send me a question on my Facebook, Instagrams. I'd love to hear from you because I believe that 2021 is going to be a blowout year for all of us in a positive way. I think that we have a huge opportunity to take control. We have a huge opportunity to do the things that will shift our lives financially and personally and business-wise and the people we serve dramatically in 2021. So let's stay on track and let me help you as best I can to make that happen. So, Heather, it should be on my Facebook page, and what I'll do is I'll pop a link in again so you can grab that, Heather, after the broadcast, and make sure that you have access to the tax tips in doing that. So, all right. With that, I'm going to sign off. I got some mentoring calls to come up with, and coming up the rest of the day. You guys have a blessed day today. And if you know of anyone that this would serve, do me a favor, share it out. Let them know. Let's get the message out. Let's get them the tools. Let's get them the skills. Let's get them thinking differently. Let's get them doing differently so they can get differently. That's what we need to think about. Remember, it's not about evolution. It's about revolution. Let's make that happen in 2021 for us and everyone around us, because if we win and we make others win, everyone wins. And I think that it's time that we take control. We're not going to wait for media. We're not going to wait for government. We're not going to wait for handouts. We're not going to wait for stimulus. We're not going to do it. We're going to create our own stimulus. We're going to create our own stuff. And we're going to do it side by side, shoulder to shoulder, as affluent entrepreneurs making a difference together. So if I can help you and support you in that journey, I'd be honored. Look forward to talking to you all soon. Cheers. See you soon. Bye.